Danny watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Dhani and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
This is Watching
My Stories.
I had a complete blank.
Wow.
we took an extra week and it all fell out.
Okay, well.
So sorry. Yes, Watching My Stories, and I'm Danny?
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm pretty certain I'm John.
I think you are.
Yes.
Okay. And if anyone stuck around after that, I'm
right.
so sorry.
All right, wise guy, who am I?
All right. So first, we did take an extra week. I do apologize about that. But last week, I would have had two things to talk about, and they weren't really that great. So it felt like
Well, it still would have taken an hour.
it would have been forced, unlike this leisurely, off the cuff, genius
unlike
chat that it is.
Unlike forgetting who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so
Genius chat.
genius chat.
Chat amongst geniuses. That's a podcast. Not for us.
Nope, not for us, but somewhere out there.
Yeah,
Okay. We're going to start off with a movie, a bunch of documentaries or reality things. I'm going to talk about a few shows that I'm in the middle of watching that I want people to be watching. And then we're going to discuss Octavia Spencer in the Actors Corner, who we all know and love.
Yeah.
Okay, so first movie we're going to talk about just came out on Friday on Netflix, and we watched together.
Okay.
ThunderForce.
Yes.
Yes, with Hammer and Bingo.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So this is with Melissa McCarthy and
Octavia
Spencer and Jason Bateman. And
did you forget everybody?
I don't know what's happening.
Wow.
I think you cooked me the best breakfast, and I think I'm just in a zone.
It was a good breakfast. Thank you.
And what's his face?
Ben?
That's in. Well, Ben Falcone wrote this.
Oh, Bobby Cannavale.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, Bobby's in every Melissa McCarthy movie. Well, everyone's always in her movies, but okay.
Well, apparently, if you make it into her movie once, you're going to be in the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the story of this one, if you haven't watched it, is that Octavia Spencer and Melissa McCarthy's characters were best friends when they were little. They grew apart. They live in a universe where there are bad guys, these miscreants that killed Octavia's parents when she was young, and she lives a vow saying she's going to figure out how to turn regular people into superheroes to fight the miscreants and save the world. And so as they grow up, they get back together, and under wacky circumstances, Melissa is injected with the super strength serum and Octavia with the invisibility, and they form ThunderForce to go out and fight the miscreants. So that's that.
Yep.
That's the plot of it. I'll let you go first and discuss what your thoughts were.
Okay. Well, like any movie with Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer in it, I wanted to and I expected to love it. I loved Superintelligence, which was, I think, the previous movie.
Yeah, that was more of a rom-com, though. This is definitely a different genre.
I don't even know what genre this is. Would have been. Was trying to be, I'll put it that way.
To me, I feel like this was just being a comedy.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, okay, you're right. It certainly wasn't a rom-com because...
No, and it wasn't an action movie, even though there was some action.
Yeah.
It was definitely more of a comedy.
Yeah, okay, I'll quit stalling. I was disappointed. I was pretty disappointed by this. I thought it was very flat. I wanted to like it a lot more than I ended up liking it. This felt like kind of a waste of all the talent involved. It was very flat. It never had a real funny moment to me. The storytelling was a little. I mean, there was so much. Look, I know the premise is fantasy, right? That this hasn't happened. This won't happen, at least not for quite a while. So it's make believe, but. I don't know. An average Avengers movie is less fantastical to me than this was. I mean, this was. This is my opinion.
I know, but you're starting to get a little bit on sexism spectrum, I think.
It had nothing to do with them being two women.
It feels like it has to, because that's all it has, that's all that was there. So
no, I didn't. I thought Bobby Cannavale was a joke. I don't know if it was his acting. I don't know, but there were the only person in it that I really liked their performance at all was Jason Bateman, and I even thought that was, it wasn't, he couldn't do more than he did. Anyway, I'm not gonna beat it up too bad. I'm just gonna say I was disappointed.
Okay. I feel like it wasn't everything I wanted it to be. That's for sure. It felt, not that it was too long, because at the end I was like, oh, that's it? Because I was expecting, I think, a bigger arc, a bigger, it felt very much like, oh, that's it. Like, that was the climax there. Okay. And now the movie's over. Oh, okay. Like, because I think I was hoping it was building up to something really grand. So yes, love them. Love that the daughter was just as brilliant. Love seeing all these brilliant women doing whatever. But here's where it gets tired for me. It feels like Melissa loves playing these kind of, not dowdy, but these down and out women.
Downtrodden.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm a little tired of that. Why couldn't she have just become a normal person in the world and still had this happen to her? On the flip side, I also feel like Octavia has played this exact same person before, where she's uptight, and she could have been, again, a little bit looser. And like, for her not to know who Steve Urkel was, I thought that was really weird. Like, she still had a life with her as a child, and they were kids. So, so, it's that kind of stereotyping of women still in movies, even though this is Melissa's husband that's writing this. It's like, it still exists there to put these kind of, there's one that's harsh and can't have a life and doesn't like being around people. And then there's one that just drinks all day and didn't get around to living life. And, it just feels very stereotypical of those two. But once they got back together, the only other thing I felt like I was missing was, we saw that they started becoming friends again, but it didn't feel like that heartwarming. Like, what I was thinking of comparing it to was The Heat, right? Where we had the same sort of thing. She's downtrodden, she's and there's the one who can't operate around people, and she's too stiff to do whatever. But their friendship in that became so heartwarming. And these were two women who had been friends for a long time as kids, and it still felt like they didn't connect.
Yeah.
And these are women who have been friends for 25 years in real life. So it also felt very weird that was missing. I loved that the daughter ended up as a super speed, like Flash at the end.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to watch it, you're just going to watch it. Like, and I still feel like it's worth watching, because to me, I love watching these women. There were funny parts to me in it that I still appreciate Melissa and the things that she does. I think Jason Bateman and the whole crab thing was very funny. Her putting butter on him and Old Bay seasoning, like, that's funny. I mean, that's funny. And that's kind of their sense of humor too. So if you've watched the movies that Ben's made before, there's a lot of that sort of thing where it's just those little things that they just get a kick out of. And you can tell that they're probably laughing about it in their own way.
I guess maybe that's part of my problem, is this felt like a lot of the other things that they've done, but not even as good. Or it's like they had a prime opportunity to make a big movie, like make a, the next level movie for them. And it just fell flat. It just felt like a regression from...
Because it was, are we rooting for Octavia's character because she promised her parents that she would get rid of these miscreants, right? So it was like, then once that happened, they were kind of like, well, you did it. But even then, I didn't feel that, like, she did it, and I'm crying, and I'm so happy for her that she lived this lifelong dream, like, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel the connection of the friendship. Even between her and Jason Bateman, that, like, it was almost like they filmed this before the pandemic. It almost felt like it was filmed during the pandemic, because people were kind of distant. You know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean.
Yeah. So it was a little weird.
For the budget this movie had, there's a lot of big effects in it, a lot of big visuals.
Yeah.
It felt like a very mediocre journey for no payoff. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion.
They're going to put that on the poster. A very mediocre journey for no payoff.
Yep. Well, that's one of the things that geniuses can chat about.
So anyway, I still feel like I would advise people, if you like Melissa and Octavia, still watch it, because to me, I still enjoy spending time with them and watching them do their thing. And I also want to celebrate women in their 40s putting on superhero outfits and doing their thing. So I also really like that. And I like that all the women were, as smart as they were. But if you don't like them, you're going to get nothing out of this movie. And so it's not worth it.
Right.
Now, it's on Netflix, so it's free to everyone. But hopefully, we'll move on and get the next one.
And I just want to say one more thing about the sexism. I really, really was looking forward to this movie. I really wanted to see this movie, and I really wanted to like it. And I don't care if it was a man and a woman, two guys, a series of farm animals. I don't care who would have been the leads in this movie. I would not have liked it if this was the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a champion of those two. I really like those two, and I just want to really stress the point that I really don't believe sexism has anything to do with it. Not from my perspective, not for me.
Okay. So that's that. That's ThunderForce on Netflix. Check it out or not.
Watch it if you must.
Aw. And this might be one of those two that I watch again, and it's a lot funnier to me the second time around. Like I'll pick up a lot of things. That happens with these, where they end up becoming like these cult things in my head, where I'm like, I will repeat something ridiculous for my life.
I am a connoisseur of that.
Of liking something better on the second try.
Yes, I am. I've thought about that since Friday, and while that might happen, I think the odds are pretty remote that I'll like it better the second time.
Okay.
I really do. I'll give it a shot. I mean, I'll watch it again.
Okay. I'm sorry I'm yawning, everyone.
Breakfast took a lot out of you, huh?
He fed me a good breakfast. It's made me sleepy. Okay. Sorry. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is a documentary on Hulu. It's called WeWork, The Making and Breaking of a $47 billion Unicorn. So this is a documentary about the company WeWork. And you either know about them or you don't. I had a stake in this game where my company actually works out of a WeWork office, and we have for 5 years now, I guess, in DC. So so this was very interesting to us, because just a few months ago we actually got kicked out of our building because they're closing it, because WeWork is downsizing so greatly, and we had to be moved to another of their buildings, which is actually probably going to be better. But we haven't been in an office for a year now as it is. So and you all know we live in California, so I'm not actually in the office, but this is where my company is based out of, in DC. So anyway, so we were all very interested in this documentary, and I actually haven't talked to any of my coworkers, but it was a very interesting story. It's the typical tech company story of the rise and fall, except this company was huge. I mean, at one point they were valued at $47 billion. And I think Netflix is also doing a documentary on this, which probably will be better. So I look forward to that. I will say it was triggering. If you've ever been in an abusive work relationship, and only you, if you have, understand what I mean when I say that, then it is tough to watch, because it is that typical where the CEO is just this grandiose, I'm going to make your world and your life so much better. And you buy into it and you work your freaking butt off, and they don't give a crap about you and take all the money and run with it anyways. Like it's that sort of story that really in the early 2000s we all saw over and over again. And that's my work experience in all those years. And this just happened to be in the second half of the decade. And so it was I think he was able to get away with it because we thought all of that was done. So it was an okay documentary. It focused much more on the culture that he tried to force into the company. This whole we generation is what he wanted to make it, instead of, he's like, instead of the iPhone and the, iPad and all that crap, we're the we generation. And so we want to work together and we want to live together, because they also did the we live thing. And, so it was much more about that culture and the partying and what he was promising everyone. It wasn't as much about the business side of it. Obviously. There was a little bit about the business side, and I think I would much rather like to see everything that really went down and kind of took this company down to where it is now.
Yeah.
And so it's still thriving, and they claim that they're going to be profitable by the end of this year. This main guy is gone. He got like a $1.7 billion parachute or something, whereas everyone else has lost their jobs. And I can attest to that. There are times where we'll get an email saying, you know, this new person is in charge of your building, and I'll email them 2 weeks later and they're gone, and now I have to talk to someone else. Like, it's been that way for probably the last 2 years, where we've had a really tough time dealing with people there. But on the flip side, we're a small company, so it also makes a lot of financial sense to still be in this sort of shared workspace. It's just a matter of if they're going to keep up with the building or not. Because our last building was also really, the bathrooms were constantly broken and lots of stuff was going on.
Yeah, I think if you do it right, this business and business model can work and probably work very well.
Yeah, there are other companies who do it. And I think the main thing with this guy was he was leasing all of these spaces, and then he was trying to do it too fast, which again, in the tech world, that's what always happened. You try to grow too fast. They couldn't keep up with all the construction. They couldn't keep up with anything really. And he kept trying to make more tech products that no one was using.
Yeah, I think this is ultimately going to end up as a story of what happens when you give a grandiose, narcissistic, egomaniacal guy a ton of money in a very short period of time, and he feels the sky's the limit.
Well, he was told that he was at one point he was given a check for $4 billion from the SoftBank, and the guy said, "Go crazy! You haven't gone crazy enough." And so he took that money and he went crazy, and that's when they went global, and they really. Yeah. But there's a quote in the documentary from that guy that I can't think of his name, and he says,
Scott Holloway.
He said basically, if you tell any 30-year-old white male that they're Jesus, they'll believe you. And I think that's pretty much the case here. Was, everyone was saying, "Oh, what a genius you are," and he was like, "Yeah, I am, and nothing can touch me."
I'm still waiting for a documentary where that isn't the punchline.
Yeah,
know.
So anyway, I could go on forever just because, but if you've been through any of the tech world and you've been through these sorts of situations, we've seen it a million times. But it is interesting, especially if you are familiar with WeWork and you see the amount of money that they went through. It's insane. But anyway, it's on Hulu. Called WeWork: The Making and Breaking of a $47 billion Unicorn.
I would have loved to have been a commercial real estate agent working with them, because they just didn't care. They just spent whatever. You tell them whatever price, and here it is.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Okay, the next documentary is a series that is on Netflix called This Is a Robbery: The World's Greatest Art Heist. This was 4 episodes, and it's talking about the art heist that occurred in Boston in 1990. And
sorry, you said that like it was a person.
And
sorry.
And I didn't know anything about this. For whatever reason, I'm surprised. But again, in 1990, I guess I was only 14. But still, I would have thought I would have heard of it. So it's very interesting. It's a very interesting story. I don't think it's worth 4 episodes long. It felt very, 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 very drawn out. But you have to keep going to find out what's happening. But it took a long time to get there. It's a very interesting story. The way they came in the middle of the night, the security guard let these 2 guys in. They spent an hour and a half in the museum and basically just cut the paintings out of the frames and left the frames there. Took a Manet. There's like 6 or 7 that they artworks that they took, and they haven't resurfaced. And so by the end of this, spoiler alert, the cops pretty much know who did it. They pretty much figured out who did it. Most of them are dead. But they've never been able to find the paintings. And so they just kind of keep putting it out there. Like, if anyone has seen this on someone's wall, if anyone has seen, we just want to find the paintings again. Mm-hmm. So that's really interesting. And there's like a $10 million reward. So it's a big deal if anyone comes across.
It's worth turning in your grandpa for it.
Yeah, for sure. So So it's interesting. But like I said, nothing that I would probably sit and watch all 4 in a row, because it did feel like it was dragging. But to watch one maybe a day would be a little bit more interesting.
What's it on?
Netflix. Yeah.
That's surprising, because usually they're really good with their documentaries.
There was another one I'm thinking of that I remember thinking the same thing. I was like, you did not need to use all this time for it, but I don't remember what it was. So it just depends, and maybe that's just my opinion, because they spent so much time going, well, maybe it's this guy, maybe it's this guy, and it felt like they were drawing us in with a lot of detail about these people who turned out not to be the thing. So it was like, why did you just tell me all this crap about this mafia person, that mafia person? So it was... but anyway.
Was it the D.B. Cooper one?
No. Okay, so that's on Netflix, called This Is a Robbery. The next documentary series we both watched on YouTube, and this is Demi Lovato's series called Dancing with the Devil.
Yep.
This is 4 different episodes. Again, I would recommend probably not watching them all in a row. They're very hard and heavy to watch, but I do believe this is a must watch, and especially if you have kids who love her or who don't even know who she is, because I think it opens up a really great conversation on addiction. So we both like Demi Lovato.
Yeah.
So that's why we wanted to watch it. And honestly, I didn't know anything really in this. Like, I barely remembered she had an overdose. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't think I paid much attention to it.
Well, I don't know that it wasn't. I don't remember it being publicized as how serious it really was.
Right. I don't think it was. That's why she did this.
Well, they were showing us headlines where, Demi Lovato close to death or something like that. I don't remember seeing those.
Yeah. I remember it like for the 2 or 3 days, and then it was like, okay, she's fine. And that was it. Like, never really thought about it again. All of a sudden she's at the Grammys singing. So it was like, okay. But anyway, so in these 4 episodes, she chronicles her life, really. She talks about her traumas of life and her sobriety that she started at 19, and then how a couple years ago she decided to start incorporating drinking again and all of that, up into this overdose that she had from heroin and fentanyl and crack and who knows what else. Anyway, and then it's everything since then. Her recovery, what she still has lingering issues from, because she had multiple strokes and heart attack and all this stuff. And then it goes into what she's doing now and how she's sober or not now and all of that. Talks to everyone who was there that night, the people who found her, all the people around her that are in her circle, and what their thoughts were. I thought this was probably the best thing I've ever seen on addiction, simply because we're seeing someone who died basically and can admit that 2 weeks later she called her dealer again for more heroin. And if that doesn't explain to you how horrible addiction is and how you literally can't control that sort of thing, then you really don't get it. And that's why I think watching this, like if you have tweens or teenagers, and saying, look at how bad this is, and if you think you can just beat it, that's not possible. It's an addiction. It's a daily battle.
Yeah, nobody has ever beaten an addiction on their own. You can't do it. You need some kind of support. I don't know about that.
Well, I can't really say.
There's no documentary on it. I've never heard anybody say, and it's proven that they did it on their own. I think this. You think about Demi Lovato or a celebrity or whatever, and they got people and that sort of thing, but you think they get put on this pedestal like where they're capable of anything. And you think about, at one point she was sober for 6 years or whatever, and she had beaten it, air quotes, and that sort of thing. And the perception was, she beat it, And then this happens, and the addiction was never really gone. It was suppressed. And I think this documentary,
sober, that's different. You're always an alcoholic. You're always an addict. You just might be sober on that day.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, you just said it was suppressed. So I was saying you battle it every day. It's not suppressed. Okay.
Well, the addiction ebbs and flows. There are days where you're really craving it. There are days where you're not, but you're still an addict. And what this series did to me was such a great job of was showed the real reality of being an addict.
Right.
And did not sugarcoat anything. So it's the reality of it.
Yeah, and that's I really admire her for doing that, because she sat next to the doctor who treated her. She sat next to her security person who came and got her that morning, who saw her naked and blue, and she's putting herself in this absolutely vulnerable position of reliving it through everyone else telling her things. And not only that, but that night her dealer also raped her. So she to put yourself in such a position, there's an accountability that she's probably wanting to gain out of that. But she said, I wanted to know because she didn't remember anything. So she had to go back to her doctor and say, what happened to me? And what did I go through? But she's still struggling. Like right now she's calling it California sober, which is drinking and marijuana, and there are a lot of addicts who are like, no, it is zero. There is zero tolerance. That doesn't work, but everyone has their own thing. I'm not going to put her down for it. Because again, as an addict, not me as an addict, but her as an addict, I fully believe that she's got to figure it out. You have to do it for yourself. Yeah. And she even says that. So, she has to figure out what she can tolerate or what she can control or what she can't. And I just hope to God that she doesn't die or overdose again. I really hope that for her. But I also, when you look at her life and everything she's been through, I'm not sure I could handle it. You know what I mean? Like just getting up every day for her is such a huge, to me, like again, everyone has such different levels of strength and resilience, and her resilience is off the charts in my book because of everything she's endured. And sorry, let's just also give a crap shout out to Disney and what they continue to do to all these young girls, and knock it off. I don't know that that's happening right now to like Disney, the Disney generation that's on right now. I don't know who any of them are, but I hope to God they are not being put through the same crap that we have seen for the last 20 years and all these girls go through. Yeah. Okay, go.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I just had to get that out because it really, to me, it's not, in her list of traumas, the Disney crap is not huge, but it's still there because you're like she said, I had to come out and say I was a virgin and I had to wear a promise ring and I had to, and that sort of crap, just it's just a layer that no one needs. Like that's not anyone's business. I don't care if you're on television and Disney's in control of your career or whatever. Who cares? Yeah. Because the boys on that channel don't have to come, like Frankenstein. What are those two twins?
I don't know.
They didn't come out and talk about their virginity that I know of. Now, maybe they did. But, I've only seen all these stories on these girls and how they're forced to be these little pure things. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Disney's come a long way. So I'm really hoping that that's not the case anymore.
Yep.
But back to Demi. She's awesome. She totally rocks. She's got I'm so glad nothing happened to her voice because it's one of the best voices out there. But it's really, really worth watching. It's just... It's hard, and I don't even want to say that it's sad because it's just hard. It's hard to watch someone live.
Well, it is sad
like that.
It is sad, and I think it's okay to call it that because you think about these people, these very talented people from a very early age who appear to have literally the world by the short hairs, and they just a lot. Sometimes they just.
I don't know what that means, but
we'll move on.
Sounds horrible.
They have the world in their hand. I mean, and something happens to some of them where it goes awry, and there's a downside, and I think that's okay to call that sad.
Yeah, I think in her case though, with her father and everything, she was, and her mother, they were addicts, so there's just that genetic tie there that I'm not sure she would have been able to fight off at all. Like I said, when she decided to drink again after being sober for 9 years or whatever it was, I get that. I saw Drew Barrymore do the same thing. When she went into to rehab at 13 or whatever, she stopped drinking forever, and then she was like, wait a minute, I was 13 then. I wonder if I can control it now. And so she started drinking again, and she can. With Demi, it was the same thing. I totally get that. I was 19 when I stopped drinking. Of course, I didn't have control. Of course, thinking it's not really a disease, thinking it's just whatever. And you start again, and it's like, it's the same as sugar. It's the same as, it's just on a deadly path. And sugar's on a deadly path, but a lot slower. It's an awful thing. And I just love that she put it all out there and that it's really open, and it's a great way to have a discussion with people, because there are so many people who I really truly believe that addiction is not a disease and that you can just simply stop. And this makes it so clear that that is the hardest thing in the world to do.
Yeah, 100%.
And she's so open about it. I mean, Jesus, it's amazing. So anyway, it's all on YouTube, so it's for free. Definitely check it out. There are 4 different episodes. I think there's also like a post follow-up on there that we haven't watched, but yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
Next thing I'm going to talk about is on Paramount Plus, which is CBS's new streaming premium service, whatever. And this is The Real World Homecoming, and I talked about it when it started. This is the original Real World cast from New York. They got them all back together. They put them right back into the same loft, and they stayed there for 5 days together and revisited their show, their season, and how they started reality TV. And is 6 episodes. And it was wonderful, and I loved every second of it. It really, one thing MTV did well, or whoever did this follow-up, is that they would split the screen. So, like, they would show, clips from 92, like just down the street in New York, and then show the same street today, and stuff like that, and just who was on the streets, and today what it looks like with who's on the street, and that was just really interesting. But I loved the show in 92. It changed my world. I loved all the people that were on it, some more than others. And so this was really interesting to me. And they revisited a lot of the racial discussions that they had back then. Norm was a gay guy on the show that, really would have been the first that you had really seen on there was no reality show. So it was the first one that you'd seen like in real life, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like for a lot of people in this country, he was the first one they ever saw. And so revisiting him and his whole path, and that was really interesting. The biggest bummer was Eric, who at the time was like the model, the hot guy, he got COVID right before they started taping. So he had to be in a hotel. And so they had to talk to him through a TV screen and stuff. And that really sucked because like all of them weren't there. But in the racial discussion, which there's a big fight on the show between Becky and Kevin, they revisited it, and Becky still, just in her 50-something white privilege Karen world, she still couldn't have this conversation. She still didn't get any of it. And by the end of the conversation, she was so pissed off, she left. And she left the loft. Like, she left 3 days early and was just she just couldn't handle it. She just couldn't get it.
Where does she live?
I think she's in New Mexico now or something. But the whole time she was like, oh, my family has a thing in Provence, and my family has this, and that. I was in Italy. Like, she's one of those, you know what I mean? Like, she just didn't get it. And, but anyway, watching all of them, seeing where all of them are today, seeing whatever paths they went down, how they've come out, and then watching them all really rekindle such a friendship 30 years later was so lovely and wonderful, and something I never would have thought of, something I never would have thought I needed to see. But it really, it changed the world. It changed everything about television, and these 7 did that. And it was so much fun back then as someone that was in high school watching them. And seeing now how they all are was just lovely. And the love between them and the friendship between them, at least the 6 of them outside of Becky, it was just lovely. It was like an old, that other documentary I talked about, Punky Brewster, her Kid 90 thing, where I was just watching all these kids from the 90s. It just feels like I never really, I wouldn't revisit my own life in the 90s, but revisiting obviously these people that I really probably loved and cherished, almost more than people that were in my real life. It was like, it does give me a very warm and toasty feel. And, just a lot of memories for that.
Good.
So
Cool.
I really loved it. My cousin's going to watch now, and I can't wait to talk to her about it too, because this was also one of her favorite shows. And so I'm excited to be able to talk to someone about what they thought about everyone that came back and what they're doing. So it was cool. I loved it. I don't know that I need it for any other seasons. I wouldn't mind it. I think I watched Real World until like season 8, and then it started getting really ridiculous. So I don't know that I need any other season. I don't know that I wouldn't mind some follow-up shows to see where some of those people are. But, I don't know. So we'll see. But this was very special. So.
And this was obviously on MTV?
No, this is on Paramount Plus. So you do have to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the parent company, right?
Yes,
of MTV.
for CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and MTV.
Yep.
They have all of the MTV stuff on there, like Teen Mom and the Real World's still going, so the new ones are on there, and the Challenge and all that stuff. So they're all on Paramount Plus. If someone doesn't have MTV, I don't need all that stuff now.
I couldn't name an MTV show now if you put a gun to my head.
I still watch Teen Mom.
I know you do. And that is
It's been 12 years of Teen Mom so far, so, you know.
That's a super annoying show to some of us.
It's a very annoying show to me most of the time. Yeah. But anyway.
Okay.
Moving on. Next
little insight to Dan today.
Yeah. Next show I'm going to talk about is The Walking Dead. Season 10 just ended.
Okay.
I just, I still love this show. I have become to love Fear the Walking Dead more, which comes back tonight, and I'm very, very excited about that. The last couple seasons of Walking Dead have gotten a little bit too, I don't even know what the word is, but we're coming up on our final year now, so I still love it. I love most of the people that are still on it. But this last season, it was very disjointed to me because we had the Whisperers, which was scary. I mean, the Whisperers were so super scary. I think the scariest group that they've ever really come across. So that was very good. I really loved all the Whisperer stuff. And then it felt like, the pandemic kind of screwed it up because they made us wait forever for like the final episode of the season. And then they said, oh, no, we're going to give you 6 more episodes of this season that they did during the pandemic. And these 6 episodes to me were some of the most boring. They were very character driven, which I understand and maybe will come to light. But I learned nothing except for the very last episode. So there were 5 episodes where I learned nothing. Like nothing. I felt like no forward movement.
It didn't further the show at all.
It didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But it might once we come back. It's just that, like, why? I feel like they were like, oh, we're gonna give you all these extra episodes because when they announced their ending, they wanted to make us as happy as possible. But I could have just lived with all of these episodes being shrunk down into 1 episode in the beginning of the new season or something.
Right.
Now, the final episode of this season was all about Negan, and it was his origin story.
Okay.
And it was fantastic. His real life Hillary Burton played his wife on the show.
No, sorry.
Why is that funny?
His real life Hillary Burton.
His real wife.
Okay.
Hillary Burton
sorry,
played his wife on the show.
I misheard you.
Oh, I may have said that.
That's okay.
Sorry.
It just struck me funny.
And so, his bat was named Lucille. It was named after his wife, Lucille. And so we got to see their relationship, what happened, and what happened to make him the Negan that we know versus this Negan Smith who was like this, high school baseball coach thing that sat on the couch and played video games and like couldn't really keep a real job and stuff. Like it was weird. It was like he was afraid to kill the walkers. Like it was that sort of thing. And so to watch what happened and why he ended up coming out to become Negan was very, very interesting, and it was really well done, and it was really heartbreaking. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan is just so wonderful, and he's so wonderful that I don't know what to do with him. And everyone talks about this, right? Because when he's on screen, you smile and you laugh, and he's being evil, and yet I love him and I don't want him to go anywhere. But right now what we're dealing with is he has come back to Alexandria and Maggie is there. Maggie finally came back. She's been gone for like, I've lost track, but it's like 5 or 6 years or something. And the last she knew, Negan was in prison, that we had imprisoned him, right? So now he's free and he's out and about and he's part of the community. And Maggie, of course, still hates him. And so when I'm looking at the two of them on screen, I'm like, oh, Negan's back. That's great. And then I look at Maggie and I'm like, oh no, Negan's back. We have to kill him. Like, you know, like I go, I'm so, he's so good that he does that to me. Like he makes me like him. And then I go, no, you killed Glenn. You have to die, you know? So it's like this really back and forth thing that's, not easy for most people to do, especially if you've been a villain and now, you know, but also like this lovable villain or something. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen. If Maggie kills him, I'm going to be okay with that because he actually deserves it. But on the flip side, I also feel like he's part of the community now and that the community needs him. So I don't know. So this final season, I think it comes back in August. We get half. They've also given us an extended final season. So I think we're getting like 12 or 14 episodes for the first half and then another 12. So it's because normally a season is only 14 episodes. I think they've doubled it for the last season. I don't know why they didn't just call it 2 more seasons. I don't know. But you know, so we'll have half in August and then we'll have the other half next year. And then there's a Carol and Daryl spinoff. Plus we still have all of the Rick Grimes movies, which they just finished the first one. So we'll be getting more answers with the Rick Grimes movie. And if everyone's confused by everything I just said, then obviously you're not a Walking Dead fan. But for the most part, we know that this is what's happening. So
yeah, I had a few questions crop up, but I'm not going to ask them.
Why?
Because I'm not a Walking Dead fan, so I don't need to know.
But that's what you're here for.
I know, but
okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, I guess I have an observation.
Okay.
That the last season that they're saying, which is now double episodes, which are 28 now or whatever it's going to end up being, that is ridiculous. That is, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. If I was a fan, I'd probably be infuriated by that.
Why?
Just because.
Give me more.
Fine. If you're going to do a final episode, final season, do the final season and have it on 28 consecutive weeks. You know you've got a lot to look forward to and just do it.
It's hard to, you know, it's hard to film and do all that stuff and get all that together. So they're sticking to their
I know.
So I don't care about that. I want 5 more seasons. I want 10 more seasons. So I don't care how they're choosing to give them to me. We've been used to that. That's how everything always happens is splitting it up. So I don't care about that.
Okay.
I just care that it's ending and that pisses me off. You know. So
okay.
But like I said, Fear the Walking Dead has gotten so good in the last 2 or 3 seasons that it really has become I so look forward to it. Which in the beginning I did not like at all. And I actually stopped watching for a couple seasons. And then I came back to it and it's so good. I wouldn't miss it for the world. So, you know. And we've got The World Beyond, which I don't know when that comes back. That's also another spinoff. But I think that's only 2 seasons or 3 seasons. Like, it's already a fixed amount. So, anyway.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yep. Yes, please.
Okay, so that's all the stuff that I've watched that I wanted to talk about. But I also wanted to just call out 3 shows that I'm in the middle of that if you're looking for things... The first one is an obvious, which I'm sure everyone's watching, is The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think we've had 4 episodes. I think there's only 2 or 3 more. It's a very short run, but it's such a great show. They are addressing so much in such a small amount of time, mostly racial issues within the Marvel Universe and within our own universe. I watch an episode and I immediately go to TikTok and I go to Straw Hat Goofy. If you guys don't know this guy, he has got the best insight. Like I first found him during WandaVision and now I go to him and I watch all of his videos that he does on each episode because he has got the best insight into things, underlining things that, you didn't really miss or things that like, oh, this meant that and that person can't have the shield and he shouldn't have the shield because of this, all that. So I love going to TikTok and watching Straw Hat Goofy when it's over because it really just cements so much of the show that kind of just goes past me. honestly. But man, Wyatt Russell is the new Captain America, who I love Wyatt Russell normally, but man, I can't wait. I hope he dies. He's the worst Captain America. And if you are a true Marvel fan and you don't get physically affected by like him coming in holding a gun next to the shield as he's like storming a room, I was screaming at the television like, Cap doesn't use a gun, number one, and number two, how dare you. But man, this last episode of episode 4, he ruined the entire image of Captain America. I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't watched it, but gone. And the imagery and the shots in this one, it's like, I mean, incredible, absolutely incredible. So I cannot wait to see where this is going to end up, and then really find out which movie this is going to tie to. I think it could be the next Black Panther, but there might be something else going on, so we'll see. So that's one. Second is the Mighty Ducks series, also on Disney Plus. If you were a fan of the Mighty Ducks movies, which I was, it was my childhood. This is a lot of fun. I'm actually really enjoying it. Lauren Graham is in it, and Emilio Estevez, which I didn't realize how much I've missed Emilio Estevez, but I did, because I just kind of stare at him, and listen to his lovely voice, and I'm like, oh, I love what he's doing. But he's back as Gordon Bombay, and it's just one of those fun, those fun things with the kids that are the underdog. It's just that kind of feeling, and so it's a complete opposite effect of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where I usually watch Mighty Ducks after, and then it's just like this lighthearted little that's it,
pulls you out of it.
Yeah, so it's fun. So I just wanted to point it out that it is good, and these kids are actually really they're funny. So anyway, and the last one, I've only watched the first episode, but this new series that just started on Amazon Prime this weekend called Them. This is executive produced by Lena Waithe, and it kind of is in the vein of Get Out and Lovecraft Country, where there's this black family that's moved into Compton in 1962, and at the time Compton was a completely white neighborhood, and so there's the fear. So this is kind of how Lovecraft Country went down, was there's the fear of just being black in a white neighborhood, right? So that's a constant tension level that you're at the whole show. Then, and Allison Pill is one of the neighbors. But there's going to also be some supernatural stuff going on. Like the house might be haunted, or there's also something else going on that's going to heighten the fear level. So this is kind of like a scary series. But honestly, it's even like with Lovecraft Country, I was like, you don't have to do all the supernatural stuff, because just being black in America is scary as hell enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that had the same, this first episode had that exact same feeling, and we've barely touched into the supernatural stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the series. I've read that there's some good stuff, some bad, but I'm just enjoying it so far, and I will get back to you guys when I'm done finishing it. I don't think it's even all released yet. I think some episodes are out, and then they might be releasing others later on, but it's already been renewed for a second season. So I don't know if that'll be the same family or a whole nother story. I haven't seen it.
How many episodes in the first season?
I don't know. 8 or 10.
And they a half hour or hour?
I think they're an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so those are the 3 things that I'm in the middle of that I will be talking to you guys when I finish.
Okay.
So now we're going to get to Octavia Spencer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. Let's see.
Unbelievable.
I have a ton of honorable mentions, but I did not put a lot under my list.
Yeah, I don't have a lot.
Yeah, I was afraid you wouldn't have seen
I mean, I've got some stuff. I'm not going to embarrass myself, I don't think. I mean, any more than normal, but...
Okay.
So, I've got 2 under love.
Okay.
The Help.
Yeah.
And Hidden Figures.
Yeah. I've got Hidden Figures under mine, too.
Yeah.
It's an absolute classic movie. There's never a time I regret watching it, and I watch it a lot.
Yeah. I'm very consistent with it. I get infuriated at the same points.
For sure.
I get, it's just like clockwork. I know it's coming. I'm like, it's just a movie, and then nope, my blood's boiling.
But even though, it'll be on TV, and I'll come into it where it's in one of the annoying parts, I still stop.
Oh, yeah.
And I still, because it's just that good. It's one of those where it's like you can come in at any moment, whether I'm crying or I'm pissed or I'm just enjoying them, and I'll stop because it's that good.
Yeah.
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 The Help is the same thing. I didn't put it on my list because the actors now don't like the story and all of that, so I kind of want to stand with them and say okay. But I do. Octavia Spencer in The Help to me was amazing. I loved her in that so much. So yeah, for sure. So I have Hidden Figures, and my other one under love is Onward. I think everyone knows that was like one of my favorites of last year. And her as the Manticore, it was like I knew it was her from the very, like, as soon as she started talking, I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. She's gonna have fun with this.
She's very distinctive.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, movies you like.
Onward.
Okay.
Bad Santa.
Oh yeah, see, I saw she was in those, and I don't know it well enough to know.
Yeah, she plays a prostitute.
Okay.
That Billy Bob Thornton has a relationship with.
Okay.
You just have to see it to fully appreciate it.
I don't know if you noticed, but she has like almost 150 credits.
Yeah.
And did you realize pretty much all of them were nurses, waitresses, or prostitutes?
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about
several jurors, and clerk or cashier. Yeah, she's had, I think, I'm glad she's where she is now, and I wish she had broken out sooner, but she has probably more background role credits than anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay, maybe you said Onward.
Onward, Bad Santa.
Oh, yeah.
And her episode of Drunk History where she's Harriet Tubman.
Oh, okay.
Love that one.
Okay.
That was great.
Yeah. So I have Self-Made, which was, I think it was Netflix, the documentary series where she played C.J. Walker, who was the first millionaire in America. Not first black millionaire. She was the first millionaire in America. It was a really good series. She was really good in it. She made hair products for black women, and that's how she became a millionaire. And it was just a really good story, and I was really happy that she was playing that. And my second one is Gifted, the one with Chris Evans and the little girl.
Yeah.
I liked her role in that too. Again, she always kind of gets stuck in that side role, supportive role. But I do like her in that movie, and I really love the movie. So okay, movies you hate.
So I've got again.
Yes.
My hate is can be dislike. One of them I saw, one of them I haven't seen, and I have no interest in seeing it. Is Ma.
Oh, I saw that.
I know.
I went and saw it in the theater.
Yep. I don't want to see my Octavia Spencer like that. I don't want her as a bad guy. I want her as,
That's why I went to go see it, because I wanted to support her in something different than that always, like, I'm the nice little lady next door. So I was really happy to see her like that. It was good. She did good. The movie wasn't great, but she did good. I'm
sure everything she does is it not being good isn't going to be because of her. I'm sure she's going to do a great job. I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay.
So.
And the other one?
ThunderForce.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Deep cut.
I'm sorry to everybody involved, and I'm sorry if this causes tension in the house the rest of the day, but I actively don't like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I don't remember her in this movie under my hate, but I remember not liking the movie, so I put it there, and that's Dinner for Schmucks.
Oh, yeah.
I felt so, bad for everyone.
Such an
so I don't remember what
movie
she made. Yeah.
To watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for Paul Rudd. And Steve Carell.
Don't remember who was who or anything like that. So, okay. Secretly Love.
2 of them.
Okay.
Shape of Water.
Yep, I have that on mine too.
Instant Family. Now.
See how he hesitates because he knows I'm going to jump on him?
Yeah, so.
Because every time I want to. You haven't even watched it all the way through. You made me turn it off because you're like, I'm so uncomfortable.
Before you scream like a panther.
I already am. I'm a panther.
Yeah. I'm going to preface this by saying, just like my hate, and it's really not that strong, it's dislike, Secretly Love can be secretly like.
Yeah, but you haven't seen it. I can't even get you to watch it all the way through.
I think I've seen the whole thing. I really do. And
you made me turn it off when I tried to get you to watch it. So unless you want to watch it on your own.
Here's the thing.
That's what this should be called.
Well, that reminds me.
Oh, no.
Sorry, my ADD brain just kicked in. I want to start a podcast called So Let Me Get This Straight. We'll talk about that later. Just throwing it out there now. I'm not sure why, but I throw it out there now. Anyway.
So that I'll remember because he'll know.
Yeah, that's it.
He's spilled it now, so he doesn't have to remember it anymore.
Right. So my memory on the other couch will bring it up again. I'm still not a big Mark Wahlberg fan.
That's okay.
Now his comedy roles, I'm warming up to. So like Daddy's what was it?
Yeah, Daddy's Home.
Daddy's Home and like Daddy's Home 2. I like those movies now. And it's kind of funny because like Daddy's Home 2, Mark Wahlberg,
I know.
Will Ferrell, Mel Gibson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forget you don't like Will Ferrell either.
But
John Lithgow can make up for a lot.
He sure does. He sure does. Anyway,
but Mark Wahlberg in Instant Family is good, and it's not a comedy, and it's not a drama. It is very much a dramedy. So he's, I love that movie. I just love it. It's all a true story, and it's a great Movie. And while Octavia Spencer isn't in it a lot, her and Tig Notaro are
social worker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I felt like it was her typical, like, here I am being a caring person and whatever. But
so this is my one opportunity to bring it up that I secretly like it.
Okay. Well,
and it's in my secretly category because if you ever ask me again, I'm going to say no, I don't really.
So then we can't watch Shape of Water either because that's a secret.
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Nope.
We're changing the name of this to Here's the Thing.
Okay, so let me get this straight.
Yeah.
I liked Shape of Water, and I think I did actually watch it a second time. I have no desire to watch that movie again. I've seen it on, and, I like the movie, but I'll never stop and watch it again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have Shape of Water because I do like it, and I do stop and watch it. And she was really great in it. Again, supporting, the main person, but because the main person couldn't speak, she had much more of a role to deal with there. So I really loved it.
She that was awesome.
Yeah.
Her performance.
Yeah. And then my second is Truth Be Told, which was a recent Apple TV Plus whatever series that she had, where she was this podcaster investigating this murder that she had covered 20 years prior. It was a great series, and it was, again, she was the lead, and she was the lead, and so it was just very nice to see her again in that role. And I haven't rewatched it, but I think I'm going to, because when I was going through these and realizing that was going to make my list, I was like, oh, I really do need to watch that again, because I don't think I remember enough of the details. I hope there'll be a second season, but I haven't heard anything about it. Right. So, okay. Embarrassed you haven't seen?
I didn't have any.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on there that I haven't seen, but nothing that I'm like, oh, I can't believe I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I'm not embarrassed I haven't seen it, but the one that I think I might add to a watch list, or if it ever popped up, is that Black or White, the one with her and Kevin Costner. I've heard it's good, where they're fighting over their grandchild, like custody over their grandchild or something.
Oh, I'll watch her and Kevin Costner. I mean, honestly, aside from the three women, Kevin Costner makes Hidden Figures for me.
I agree.
Because he's like the redeeming value for white people.
Yes, even though he still is a prick. Well, but yeah.
He's a prick, but he's not a racist prick. And he's kind of the one that literally breaks down some of their barriers.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that's it for me. Do you have anything for your watch list?
Oh, I'm adding? Yes, I do.
What's
Gifted.
That? Oh, yeah. I'll watch that with you.
Yeah. I know you will. I'll just call you in whenever Chris Evans is on the screen.
Oh, God, he cries in it. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, boy.
So my honorable mentions, the first time I ever saw her and really knew her was Never Been Kissed, which she was with Molly Shannon. She worked with Molly Shannon and Drew Barrymore at the paper, and she was funny in that. And then I was shocked going through the credits that it was like years before she did anything else again. So that was surprising. Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. Again, she's only got a few lines. She's a fellow cashier in that, but she's funny in that. I had The Help, Fruitvale Station, which again in this time and age and watching the George Floyd trial, people should go back and watch Fruitvale Station again. Snowpiercer, the movie, not the show. She was really good in that. Again, Chris Evans. Love the movie, and she had a good role in that one. Red Band Society was a show that I really liked, and yes, she played a nurse, but it was a great show about these kids in a cancer ward, and like they lived in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember that now.
God, crier every single episode, which of course Octavia can always add to. You know, she makes me cry a lot. But it was a good show. I was so bummed that it left. A Kid Like Jake, kind of decent movie, whatever. Instant Family, we talked about. Ma, we talked about. I did like. Yeah, and then I had ThunderForce. So that's that on Octavia Spencer.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and she's got 5 things in the works.
Yeah.
So, you know, very excited to see, always excited to see what she's going to do.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I'm sure.
Here's the thing.
So let me set this straight. The next time I hear of her and Melissa McCarthy doing a movie, I'll be right there towards the front of the line.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's some people I just always show up for, and you just, you know, I mean, again, everything can't be perfect.
Yeah. I think, you know, I think anybody who's listening to this, the 4 people, if they go out and see ThunderForce, they'll understand what I'm saying. And it's not about those 2. It's just about the combination and the storyline, the writing and whatever. It just doesn't work.
Okay.
So anyway.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to try and be back in 2 weeks and get back to our normal schedule. I hope. I do have a lot of things in the mix to watch, so hopefully that'll be true. And we're watching The Mandalorian, so that we'll talk about the next time. I obviously already saw it, but John is watching it. And
catching up on it.
We will be finished in the next 2 weeks, so we will talk about that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Good. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful couple weeks, and we will see you then. Until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye.